We're starting by looking at the homework packet and reviewing standard deviation, which we learned how to do yesterday. All right. What I wanted you to notice is that the first couple of pages, do not touch. I know. The first couple of pages are review of last week's type of info. It isn't till the back pages that we're learning new stuff, but we're learning a new measure of central tendency and how to get it two ways. Yesterday we did it without a calculator, and it's a lot of steps, but once you get the hang of the steps, they aren't that hard. And the questions that we're going to ask you to do it with will have very few numbers, so you don't have to do as much work. But I want you to notice that this page and this problem says calculate the mean and standard deviation of data set without the use of calculator. Without the use of calculator. Now that doesn't mean you can't use the calculator to add, subtract, square, times. What they're going to learn today is how to put data into a list and have it pop out this number all by itself. So without the use of calculator doesn't mean you can't use it at all, but you need to show your work in each of the steps that you work through to do the problem. They always in these problems give you a sample already worked out. We're not going to look too hard at this. We're going to go to number 2. So now that you see that this without the use of a calculator, I want to clarify again how we did that. Flip over to number 2. Here is your data set. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers. The first thing that you need to do to calculate a standard deviation is find the mean. The mean is symbolized as x with a little line over it, and the math for finding the mean is the same as finding an average. We need to add these numbers up and divide by 6, because there's 6 of them. So I'm going to use my calculator and say what I'm doing with the calculator if I want to show my work is adding everything up and dividing by 6 because there are 6 numbers. On, clear, 6. And I am not interpreting that don't use a calculator to mean I can't use a calculator for this. I add those numbers up, I get 54, divide by 6, and I get 9 for the mean. That's going to be an important number in finding standard deviation. Standard deviation, by definition, is how far away are the numbers from the mean in general. In general, how far is the spread away from the average? If we were talking about a class, if the class average on a test was 85, the standard deviation would tell me, do I have everybody pretty close to 85, or do I get that 85 when I have a couple of hundreds and a couple of Fs? If I'm a teacher and everybody's close to 85, we're probably good to move on. But if I have a couple of A's and then a lot of F's and D's, then maybe we need to relook at things. Okay, so if you're all close to a certain average, that tells you something about the group as a whole. All right, but here's our mean, 9. The steps for doing standard deviation then is I need to first figure out how far away each individual number is from this mean. We do it like this, 6 minus 9. Subtract it and square it. Next number in my list is 8. Each time I'm figuring out how far is each individual number away from the mean. Did we turn on our TV?
Our TV.
Did I skip something? 9. I did 6, 8, and then I jumped to 10, so I got to back up and do 9 minus 9. Okay, 6 minus 9. I can use my calculator, but, oh, hi guys. We're looking at the homework packet. Are they frozen?
I don't know. They can see us down there.
Oh, good. They're moving.
Dude.
Oh, let's see. How about this? Far. There we go. Hey guys, we're working on the page 476 in the homework packet. 476 in the homework packet. We're reviewing how to find standard deviation the old school hard way, and then later in the class we're going to learn how to do it with the calculator. But it's important sometimes to understand what that calculator is doing for you. So how far away is each number from the mean? 6 minus 9, that's 3, and square it, that's a 9. 8 is only 1 away from 9, squared is 1. 1 away from 9 squared is 1. 1 away from 9 squared is 1. This is 2 away from 9, squared is 4. Notice some of these would have been negatives and some of these would have been positives. That's part of the reason we do the square it step. It gets rid of the negatives. We're not really concerned with how far to the left or the right on a number line. So this would have been a negative 3, this would have been a positive 1, but after we go ahead and square everything, these are all going to turn positive. 9 minus 9 is 0. So step 1 in finding standard deviation is you need the mean, which is an average. Step 2, you take individual numbers in the data set and figure out how far they are from the mean. Square the difference. It gets rid of negatives. Step 3, we're going to take all of these numbers and find the average of the differences squared. So now I got to go a different average and go 9 plus 1. Even though I know that 0 is not going to affect the result, I'm going to include it in my work because I got to remember then how many numbers are actually involved when I take the average. So this is 6 values that we're going to divide. So this is an average of the data points themselves. This is an average of the differences squared. 9, okay, on 16. Okay. And I'm coming up with 2.6666, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to call it 2.7 for today. Are you with me? Did I do that right? So on average, we're getting closer. This still isn't our standard deviation. That's the averages of the square. The last piece, the standard deviation, which is symbolized with a little Greek letter that looks like a tipped over 6 or a sideways P, we take the square root of that number, 2.7, because that's the average of the square of the distances. Now we square root it. And on your calculator, if I want to take a square root of a number like that and I don't want to re-enter it into the calculator because I want the digits to be just right, I'm going to go second square root. So square root is a blue number, so second square root, which is on the x squared button down here. And then I'm going to go second and answer. Answer is down here underneath 3 on the same as the negative button. And notice what goes into the screen. Square root of the answer of the last problem I did. So that plugs in from its little memory the answer of what we just got, and it'll take a square root when I push enter. So 1.6, not sure how many digits we should do. 1 past the decimal is probably good for today. So in average, these values are 1.6, or about 1.5 away from the mean, which is 9. Okay, the mean is 9, and they go down to 6 and up to 11, but if you look at the group as a total, standard deviation is 1.6. If I'm looking at 9 in the middle, the majority are either 1.6 higher or 1.6 lower. That's what standard deviation means. It's where is the main group of your numbers in this data set. Okay, you guys get to do number 3. I'm going to walk around and see how much of that sunk in. Okay, you have the steps in front of you in a couple of places. Let's do this. Yeah. Nope, not that one. 476. So that's number 2, but we're all doing number 3 now. Okay. Average numbers. There's calculators on your Chromebook, there's calculators on your phone, and that's an approved educational use of the phone.
Can I use my phone?
As long as you're using it for a calculator. If it's going to tempt you to check Facebook, keep it away, because I will have to
all about
confiscate.
that MySpace.
MySpace.
What'd you get?
13.
Where was I gonna get the
Sure,
meat?
when you add it, divide it.
They would maybe like once. Yeah, mine is 13.
The mean is 13?
Yeah.
One minus 13. I don't know. 5 minus 13.
Good. Step 1, that average. I need to write that test. Where does the time go, Mr. Craig?
Seems like it's moving faster.
It's not like I'm sitting around twiddling my thumbs. Or my thumb.
Minus 13.
12. Maybe 12.
Divide, or how do you make it square root? Just do it in your head. How do you do it?
Here.
What do you mean that's wrong? Make it 12.
So then they all
Otherwise,
make
you
it
go.
Maybe
So that would be equal to.
Yes. So each time you do the subtract, then you push this little X squared button and enter, that takes it one more step. There's an X squared button on the calculator that can help you. You can use calculators on your Chromebook, you can use calculator on your phone if you're
Jerry, can you please be quiet? I'm trying to do my thing.
do like kind of like Stevie Nicks.
Be nice. Quite nice, my friends. Is that Mr. Fritchie or Mr. California?
So can we go on?
Come on, man. We're all working.
Still have to find the action of these and make it square. Did you find it? You're saying that on average we have 7 on average. Right, right spot. 13 plus 7 is 20. We've got one a little bit bigger. 13 minus 7. Hey, 6. I've got some a little bit smaller.
I do wrong. 5, 6.
Yeah, that's what I did. I'm not sure what what's this called.
Jerry's coming out.
All right, good. We're close. I'm seeing most people get to that last step.
Mr. Craig, how did you do the last step?
Like a beast. That's how.
What was that?
Man, just keep trying please.
I don't know, but I love it.
I'm gonna go to art class.
Maddie Soren drew this one. And then it's been kind of like a contest. Other people are like, oh, I want to draw.
Like, Loki want to join the contest.
I don't know. Let's not
You
go
mean
there
like
yet.
after
We're getting some good math done. And something, I don't know why I'm a doubter, but I'm not sure if your skills are to the Maddie Soaring level. Alright? So now, if you were using a phone as a calculator, you might want to put it away if it's going to tempt you into some mischief. Okay? Now, let's take a look up here.
I got 33.85. She'll show it.
Okay. Alright, I'm seeing around the room, people got 13 as the mean. The first thing you had to do is take these numbers up, divide by, is there 6 or 7? 7 of them. And so I see a mean of 13. Then the next thing you need to do is take each individual value and subtract it or find the difference away from the means. The next one here would be 10 minus 13. Then we square it. The squared values help get rid of negatives. I can see this is 12. 12 squared is 144. I can see this is 8. 8 squared is 64. 3 squared is 9, etc. all the way down. Then you take all of these squared values and you need to find their average. So once again, you're adding up stuff. 144 plus 64 plus, 9 plus, etc. And dividing once again by 7. Because if you had 7 numbers here, you should have 7 differences indicated there. What do we get at this stage? Who has the average of the square of the differences? 57.1 at that point. Now that's the average of the squared distances. The last piece, standard deviation. You need to take a square root of that. And I saw something like 7.6 or 7.56. Okay. Hello.
I know who that is.
Okay. I'll see. Maybe I hit a mute button or something. Okay.
Far away.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, it is on far mute here.
Near, mute.
The end is near, it
It says the end is near.
There we go. Hello, can you hear me now?
She's cheesing.
Okay, there we go. All right, awesome. Now you're saying, Rigetti, that's a lot of work. Okay, so you're going to do that type of work on a couple of more, actually one more problem on this homework packet. You will have probably one where you have to show work like this on your quiz on Thursday. What day? Thursday. But I know you're thinking, Rigetti, there has to be an easier way. You're right. You came to the right room. Let's figure out how to do this easier.